What is up, fellas? We are back for another UFC predictions video, this time for UFC Fight Night Paris, Imavov versus Borralho. We've got a pretty big card this weekend, fellas. A lot of good fights. I'm ready to break it down. Let's jump right into it. No foreplay. Kicking us off with an absolute heater that I'm sure all of you are super invested in my prediction in. Shauna Banan taking on Sam Hughes. I'm going with Sam Hughes. Shauna Banan's terrible. She almost got knocked out cold by Puja Tomar and fluked to submission. Sam Hughes is actually not that bad. She's pretty well-rounded, pretty tough. She should be able to beat Shauna Banan, who is terrible and just spams a sidekick over and over again. Moving up to welterweight, Rinat Fakretnov taking on Andreas Gustafsson. This is a fight. This fight's going to be sick, I feel like. This fight's going to be a war. Rinat Fakretnov coming in as the plus 105 underdog. Normally he's a giant favorite, but I think people lately have been really souring on him as a fighter just because, I mean, he's been getting a lot of gifted decisions, honestly. Carlos Leal, he brutally robbed Carlos Leal, which I don't think is the best look, especially because we've just seen Carlos Leal get flatlined by like a 42-year-old man. Nicholas Dalby, razor close fight. Could have lost, very close and competitive. Alezu Zaleski dos Santos, draw. Really close fight. Really, really close. So I think people are kind of like falling out of love with Rinat Fakretnov as a fighter. Before he was looked at like this super dangerous prospect, but now you're kind of being like, this guy's kind of a robbery merchant. Andreas Gustafsson, on the other hand, I like this guy. I like this guy's style. This guy's a fucking beast. Just destroyed Chaos Williams. Walked him down and just absolutely butchered him, which I was not expecting. I thought Chaos Williams had a pretty good style to beat Gustafsson just because he's got this insane power in his hands. And Gustafsson's a guy who just gets in there. He'll be there to be hit, but he's going to be after you. And that pressure style, I thought maybe Chaos Williams could get him with a big shot. He's unable to find that. Gustafsson absolutely just broke this dude. I say broke kind of as a pun because the guy's nickname is fucking Bane. This dude is a beast. And I think he beats Rinat Fakretnov here. I think you might, I don't mind an underdog pick on Fakretnov at this, the line. I think there's a little bit of line overcorrection just because Rinat's been kind of But I think if this Leal fight never happened, he'd be like minus 200 or something like that. But I do think Gustafsson wins this fight. I think he's got a style that can beat Fakretnov because I don't see Fakretnov knocking him out early. Fakretnov has good power. He's got weird striking. It's not very good. But my thing is if Chaos Williams can't find a shot to put down Gustafsson, I don't know if Fakretnov is going to be able to. And Fakretnov's a guy who I think, has a little bit of gas tank issues when the pace is really put on him. And Gustafsson's going to, if you don't get him out of there early, this guy's going to be on you 24/7. I mean, this guy's cardio is insane. His grappling solid. He's a Greco-Roman guy. And I don't think Fakretnov's going to be the stronger guy in here. I think Fakretnov's kind of not a durability, a physicality merchant a lot of the time. I think he's going to be out physicality pretty badly here. I was actually, I got recommended some videos on Instagram about Gustafsson and his strength and conditioning. This guy is a fucking freak. This guy is strong as shit. He's got a good Greco-Roman background. I think he'll be able to get takedowns as the fight gets later when Rinat Fakretnov slows down a little bit. I think Rinat will have a hard time getting takedowns on Gustafsson. And I think Gustafsson just kind of has a cardio advantage. I think this is going to be a war. I think this is probably going to go to a decision. I think Gustafsson finally will be the guy who gets the decision over Rinat Fakretnov, barring Rinat catching him early. I like Gustafsson. I hope he keeps winning. I do like his style. So yeah, I think he wins this fight, probably 29-28. Moving up to middleweight, Brad Tavares taking on Robert Burchek. I did not really dig into this fight too much just because it's Brad Tavares fight, and I really don't care. Tavares, good, well-rounded, no power, good cardio, I guess. He's really just, he's all right at everything. Burchek, on the other hand, made his UFC debut to Ihor Potieria, lost, not a great look, but I think Potieria, I think a lot of people are disillusioned by that, but Potieria is a guy, if you just stand up with him, he's a pretty tricky guy to catch on the feet, especially when you're like a Brychek, who's kind of like a slower, traditional guy, high guard, throws big power shots. Podieri is kind of a hard guy to land on because he's kind of in and out, feints a lot. Brad Tavares doesn't really do that. I think Brad Tavares is going to be there to be hit, to be honest. And I kind of like this line for Burchek because Brad Tavares, man, like he's very solid and he's got a lot of experience. But man, every time I watch him fight, does he not just look uber washed? You know what I mean? Does he not just look uber washed? And I feel like the this fight's gonna go one of two ways. Brad Tavares is just gonna school him for 3 rounds, pop the jab, land the 1-2, not get taken down, maybe mix up the grappling of his own because he's well rounded, or he's just gonna get fucking bonked and killed. You know what I mean? Like I can so see Brad Tavares just eating one on the chin and fucking dying. You know, he got KO'd by Bruno Silva, horrible look. Got KO'd by Rodriguez, which, you know, not the worst thing in the world. Split decision to Jung Young Park, but I don't think this was a split decision, to be honest. Beats Gerald Mearshart. Mearshart just got flattened. He was getting boxed up by the ghost of Chris Weidman, too. You know what I mean? I'm gonna I'm gonna go with Robert Brychek. I don't think anybody's picking Brychek. Nobody's picking Brychek. I don't blame him. He looked shit in his debut, but I can just show. This is one of the fights where Brad Tavares just gets bonked on the head, and I don't at -250. You can't convince me to pick Brad Tavares. I hate it. I'm gonna go with Brychek. I don't know. I don't give a fuck about this fight, so I'm going with the underdog. Why did I just teleport back? Okay, there you fucking go. Moving up to a fight I do care about at welterweight, Sam Patterson taking on Trey Waters. I think this will be a pretty fun fight. I'm leaning Sam Patterson here, though. I just think he's got more ways to win. Sam Patterson looked really good in his last fight against Danny Borralho, knocked him out cold. Danny Barlow is a dangerous striker, powerful striker. Um, but I think Sam Patterson just has a clear grappling upside here. Trey Waters is pretty decent all around. He's long, rangy guy, but he's actually giving up an inch of reach in this matchup, which I don't think he's used to too much. And I think Sam Patterson's striking is coming along nicely. He looks way more improved on the feet, and I think he's got an advantage with the grappling. I think he can take down Trey Waters, and I think if he gets Trey Waters on his back, I think he'll be leagues better than him in the submission grappling and the jiu-jitsu department. I gotta go with Sam Patterson here, man. I think he's pretty solid, dude. I think he's a much better fighter outside of lightweight. I've been impressed with his welterweight run, so I'm going to be picking him over Trey Waters. Trey Waters' last fight, long time ago, 15 months ago, took on Billy Ray Goff, who's since lost in embarrassing fashion. Went to war with him, was getting caught with big shots in the feet, but landing some back, and a real competitive fight, a real fun fight. I think Sam Patterson is just a little bit sharper. I think he's got more ways to win. So I'm going to go with Sam Patterson here. A lot of people are picking Patterson sub. I'm kind of inclined to agree with that because I feel like that's where his best path to victory is. Moving up to lightweight, Cowboy Fernandez taking on Harry Hardwick. Banger. Holy fuck, this is a banger. I didn't get to do much tape for this, but I'm pretty confident. I'm going to go with Cowboy Fernandez over Harry Hardwick. Harry Hardwick's a dog. He's a brawler. He's good. I like Harry Hardwick. I'm glad he's making his fucking UFC debut. One half of the Hardwick brothers in the UFC finally. But Cowboy Fernandez, man, he's kind of fucking good, no? He looked really good against Guram Kududalidze. I mean, he looked light years better than Guram. Now, maybe that's just Guram not being the guy people thought he was. But man, he looks sharp. And Cowboy Fernandez is a dangerous fucking striker. Very fast, good kicks, good hands. And Harry Hardwick, in my opinion, is kind of a, he's just a tough son of a bitch, to be honest. He's a dog. I don't know if I like that on short notice against this guy. I think Fernandez is a guy you kind of need to watch a little bit before you get in there with him. You feel me? I just think Cowboy Fernandez, he was preparing for a hard fight against Faris Yam, who's really fucking good. He's got a full camp. He's dialed in. I just think I'm going to trust him over Harry Hardwick making his short notice debut. I wouldn't mind a Harry Hardwick win, to be honest, because I like his style a lot. But I think Cowboy Fernandez is just going to be too tricky on the feet. Yeah, a lot of people picking Fernandez. I don't blame him. He looked good in his last fight. I'm going to pick him as well. I'm going to pick him by decision. I think probably 29-28. I could see Hardwick having some success as the fight goes on. I'm part of me was thinking of picking Harry Hardwick. I'm gonna trust my initial reaction and go with Cowboy Fernandez here. By decision. Moving up to heavyweight, fuck me. Marcin Tybura taking on Ante Delija. Fuck. This fight, I don't know. This fight, genuinely a coin flip. Part of me was thinking about an anti Daliha angle, but like I just have he's just not fucking that good, bro. He's just not good. Like he got destroyed by Moldanovsky. And I don't think Moldanovsky's that good. Beat Jorgen De Castro. De Castro sucks. Maurice Green to a decision? Like what the fuck are we talking about? I can't. He's got a decent skill set though, and this is what fucks me up. He's decent everywhere. And normally Tybura is a guy where he exposes a weakness in a guy's game. Ante DeLiha doesn't necessarily have a weakness to his game that can be exploited. You know what I mean? That's my hangup. Like he's a pretty solid grappler. He's got solid boxing. He's not a complete schmuck, and his cardio's not that bad. Oy, ay, ay. And normally Tybura's a guy, oh, you're a good striker? I'll take you down and smash you like a Janata Denise, Oh, you're a bit gassy? You gas out a little bit too much? I'll put it on you and get the decision like you did against McParkin. You know what I mean? But Daliha doesn't really have that weakness. But he's not very durable, to be honest, Daliha. I'm gonna continue the trend of fading guys making their like PFL to UFC debut. You know what I mean? PFL guys in their debut just look like dog shit. And I don't know if I can trust this guy to have the successful debut against Marcin Tybura in his first fight in the UFC. Tybura's a hard fight for a lot of guys, man. He just is. And if you're not UFC ready, if you're not ready for the top 10, Tybura is going to beat you. And I'm not necessarily sure that Ante Daliha is that guy. So I'm going to go with Tybura. I'm going to go with a Tybura fraud check. A lot of people are on Tybura. I hate being on the people's. He's not even an underdog. I hate being on the people's dog, though. You know what I mean? What the fuck are we doing? I could so see Daliha beating him, though. I mean, that's why it's lying like this. This fight is honestly the most conflicting fight for me on the card is this one. I can't get a solid read on this one because both guys are just kind of like well-rounded. Marcin Tybura is old, but he's got way more experience against better fighters. I just can't trust Daliha in this fight, dude. I just can't trust like PFL guys and their debuts. Give it like if he loses to Tybura, I'm sure he'll beat the next guy he fights. I can almost guarantee it. Moving up to light heavyweight, Umar Sy taking on Brinson Ribeiro. I'm gonna go with Umar Sy. Looked like dog shit against Alonzo Minifield, like room temp IQ fight, but he should beat Brinson Ribeiro. I don't know if I really need to break this down too much. Brinson Ribeiro is dangerous, powerful, fast striker. Umar Sy, he's a decent kickboxer, pretty technical. He's got a good ground game as well. He should be able to beat Brinson Ribeiro unless he gets caught with something huge, which could happen. That's the variance in the fight. But Umar Sy is just a much more skilled fighter than in Brinson Ribeiro. I think he's just going to be a step ahead, whether it's in the grappling or the striking technically. I think he wins the decision here pretty comfortably. Maybe Brinson Ribeiro has a moment, hurts him bad, and wins a round. I'm going to say Umar Sy, 29-28 decision. A lot of people are picking TKO. I'm going to say decision. Even though Ribeiro is a bit chinny, and he did just get chinned bad in his last fight, I think Umar Sy might be a little bit patient here and slow cook this fight because he doesn't want to get caught. Moving up to featherweight, William Gomes take on Robert Ruchala. I'm going with William Gomes here. Robert Ruchala is pretty good, KSW guy. Kind of weird spurgy striking, but he's solid. I just think William Gomes is nice on the feet. And if you're not a guy like a Hydra Emil, who's just going to like eat all of your shots and W key and walk forward and pressure Gomes, he's a real fucking hard guy to deal with. I think his kicks to the body especially are going to be hard for Ruchala. And I could see him hurting him with a body shot. William Gomes, I just think he's a more solid striker, just outright, if I'm being real. Like, Ruchala could catch him with one of his, like, he kind of throws, like a whipping shot. He throws a lot of whipping shots. But I could just see William Gomes just throwing straight shots and beating the whipping shot. And I can see him doing that for 3 rounds. I don't think Ruchala is going to be putting the pressure on like a Hydra Emil. And even in that, Hydra Emil had his game going perfectly, and it was still a razor close fight. You know what I mean? And this guy's beating like Joe Anderson, Brito, in a close fight as well. I don't think Ruchala is on the level of like a Brito. I think William Gomes is just sharper in the feet. I think he'll win this fight by decision. Seems like a lot of people are agreeing on that. I don't mind Ruchala though. I think he's pretty good, and I'm sure he'll get a win in the UFC. Like I don't think he's bad. I just think Gomes is kind of a hard guy to beat in the feet 9 times out of 10, and I don't see Ruchala mixing it up either. Keeping it at featherweight, Patricio Pitbull taking on Losine Kita. This is a banger. This Losine Kita guy. I watched some tape on this guy. He's a specimen. He's a fucking freak. But there is a but here. Debut gets Patricio Pitbull. I'm a little bit worried because this is a guy who I don't feel like has a lot off of his back. Patricio Pitbull's a very patient guy at this point in his career, and he's good at timing takedowns on guys who overcommit. And all Losine Kita does is overcommit. He is all action. He's fast. He's powerful, and he is wild, and he is good. I like this guy. I hope he wins, to be honest. But part of me just feels I can so see a Patricio Pitbull snooze fest. Um, Not a snooze fest, but I mean, like, Patricio Pitbull kind of hangs back, waits for Losine Kita to overextend with a big shot, make a mistake, gets a takedown, rides out the round. I can so see it. I can so see him doing that. And I can see it working too, because I have not seen much of Kita off of his back, but what I have seen is not confidence inspiring. I feel like he is a half guard camp merchant. Like I feel like he can be camped in half guard pretty seriously by Patricio Pitbull. And it's not like Pitbull has no power either and no fucking skill on the feet. Like he's pretty solid, hurt Dan Ige really bad on the feet, you know. So Kita's gonna have to respect some of the shots coming back his way. I do think Kita has a really big speed advantage. And I don't think Patricio Pitbull is as durable as he used to be. So I could see Kita just bonking him and sleeping him easily possible. But I kind of like Patricio Pitbull in this spot as a plus 165 to just kind of just be more well-rounded, be the veteran. And honestly, Patricio Pitbull got the debut loss treatment. I think he is now going to give that debut loss treatment to a young guy in Losine Kita, who I think's real. He's real good, but he's real unrefined in his skill set, if you know what I'm talking about. Whereas Patricio Pitbull, he's very refined in his skill set. He's pretty fucking solid everywhere, and he's got just infinite experience. And if Losine Kita doesn't bonk him and kill him, I can see Patricio Pitbull just realizing like, oh, I have a sick grappling advantage over this guy. I'm going to wait for this guy to overcommit. Boom, find the hips, drive through him, and just camp on him for 4 minutes straight and win the round. I see Patricio Pitbull winning this fight. Honestly, I see either guy winning, but I'm going to trust Pitbull. I don't know. A lot of people on Keisha. I understand it, but I'm going with Pitbull. I don't know. I just think he can show up in levels here. Moving up to welterweight, Axel Sola taking on Reese McKee. Really? Axel Sola. Favorite? Axel Sola is a lightweight. A lightweight inside striker. I don't know, dude. I kind of want to pick Reese McKee. Reese McKee's a guy I pick a lot, bro. I pick Reese McKee a lot as an underdog because he's always an underdog. He lost to Angelusa, almost finished him in the third round. Lost to Chidi and Njokuani in a kickboxing match. I don't mind that too much. And they beat Daniel Frunza, beat the dog shit out of Daniel Frunza. I picked him as an underdog in all three of these fights, I'm pretty sure. And I'm just going to keep the train going. I think he can beat Axel Sola. I think Reese McKee's straight shots on the outside are going to be a pain in the ass for Axel Sola, who's more of an inside boxing range, likes to get the clinch going, has decent elbows, this kid. Likes to get that kind of game going. I think he's going to have a hard time getting in on Reese McKee. And once he does, Reese McKee's pretty solid on the inside, too. He's not bad in the clinch either. He's got some elbows of his own. I think he can hang. And he's got experience against just a better level of competition. He's going to be rocking a size advantage. Axel Sosa is a lightweight the majority of his career. He should have a reach advantage for sure. He's going to be the much taller guy. I'm going to trust Reese McKee here as a plus 110. I don't know. I think he's going to get another win. I think Axel Sosa is going to lose that 0 here in this matchup. I just think he's going to have a hard time with the range. And the size disadvantage, man. I'm going to trust Reese McKee here. I think he's going to win this fight. I think he's going to win a decision here. I think this will probably be a pretty big dog fight. I think they'll go back and forth, but I think Reese McKee will just be landing the sharper shots out at range with the straight punches and get himself a decision, maybe 29-28 over Axel Sosa. Or Sosa, I guess it's Sosa. Sola. Nobody's picking Reese McKee, really. A lot of people are confident in Sola. I just don't see it. The level of comp's not too insane. Aries is a decent promotion, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't. This is a step up for sure. And for him to be the favorite, with the size discrepancy, I don't like it for him personally. I'm picking a lot of underdogs on this card, I guess. I'm in the mood. I don't know. Moving up to lightweight, Balaji Oki taking on Mason Jones. I'm going with Mason Jones here. Balaji Oki is a decent fighter, physicality merchant, real fast, pretty explosive. Good fighter. I like Balaji Oki's style. But Mason Jones, man, he's just well rounded, dude. He's like the Swiss Army knife. He's got it all. He's got good striking. He's got insane durability. He's got a lot of heart. He's got good cardio, and he's got good grappling too. He can mix it up as well. And Balaji Oki's a guy who I think doesn't really have very good grappling. I mean, him stuffing his head in that fucking Chris Duncan guillotine choke sticks out of my head so bad. And then when we look at his wins, I mean, Michael Aswell, kind of a dull fight, nothing too crazy here. Close fight with Michael Aswell. Timothy Kawamba, who's a featherweight with honestly some chin issues, took him to a split decision. I don't love it. I think Balaji Oki here does have ways to win. I think he's much faster than Mason Jones. Maybe he could hurt him early, but I don't see him finishing Mason Jones. I like Mason Jones. He's got a lot of experience. Uh, and I just like his skill set more. A lot of people picking Mason Jones. I don't mind a Mason Jones submission angle, quite frankly. I think he's got a pretty good grappling edge here if he chooses to use it. This is my only gripe with Mason Jones. He might choose to not use it. In this Jeremy Stevens fight, he opted to not grapple to kind of put on a show for the fans there. He even said as much in his post-fight interview. So that worries me, but I like his skill set more. I like his durability. I like his cardio. I like his grappling, and I think he can hang in the striking. And if Balaji Oki starts to lose a little bit of that speed as the fight gets deeper, I can see Mason Jones kind of activating and being the better guy over 3. So I'm going to go with Mason Jones here. Now that I mentioned that, I'll probably go with the decision. I think he'll probably come on as the fight goes longer. I think Balaji Oki will have a speed advantage early, but it might begin to taper off a little bit once Mason Jones maybe mixes it up, lands his own shots, kind of gets in that dirty fighting exchange with Balaji Oki. I think he can implement that game plan and win a decision. Moving up to light heavyweight, Modestas Bukauskas taking on Paul Craig. I'm going with Modestas Bukauskas. As long as he doesn't jump into Paul Craig's guard, which he might be stupid and do that. Some guys are stupid and just jump into Paul Craig's guard. He's a fast striker. He's good on the front foot. Throws good straight shots. He has decent power. He should put out Paul Craig cold. Paul Craig has a body kick. That's it. And he's got a triangle from his back. Modestas Bukauskas should finish him here. Like 8 times out of 10, I would think. Like Paul Craig, wouldn't mind seeing him win, but this is a much worse matchup in my opinion than Rodolfo Balada. I'm going with Modestas Bukauskas to win by TKO in round 1. I just don't see Paul Craig winning outside of it. Modestas Bukauskas dropping 65 IQ points and just jumping into a triangle. Moving up to lightweight, Benoit Saint Denis taking on Mauricio Huffy. Banger. I'm stoked for this one. I'm going with Mauricio Huffy here. I'm sure everybody is. It's just Benoit Saint Denis. He's a guy who's a pressure fighter. He's a dog. He's a dog. But he's too stiff for a fluid striker like Ruffy. And Ruffy's got good takedown defense from what I've seen. On the Contender Series, he's fighting a Dagestani guy who was pretty decent. Came back and got the victory. So I just feel like Benoit Saint Denis is just going to walk into a straight shot. I think a straight left or something from Mauricio Huffy can hurt Benoit Saint Denis bad. Benoit's a dog, though, man. He could extend this. He could get the grappling going. He's got good wrestling. He's got legit jiu-jitsu skills. But on the feet, I just feel like the way he plods into range, I just feel like he's going to walk onto something, And Mauricio Huffy's a sniper with a lot of his strikes. I could see Benoit Saint Denis winning, but I just don't. I agree. I think Ruffy's probably going to get the TKO victory here. I just see Benoit Saint Denis with his no head movement walking into a big shot. You know what I mean? He didn't look great against Kyle Prepolek, even though he destroyed him. Got dominated by Moicano in the grappling. Got KO'd by Dustin Poirier. I put an asterisk on this fight, though, because he was ragdolling Poirier a majority of this fight. It's just unfortunate that he had a staph infection that looked like a 50 caliber bullet hole in his fucking forehead. And he ended up, when I broke down this fight, I said Benoit Saint Denis can expose the grappling of Poirier and probably submit him, which he was looking good to do. But I did say the only way he loses this fight is if he gets in the pocket and exchanges hooks with Dustin Poirier. And would you believe it? That's exactly what he did. Matt Frivola, high kick. But these guys aren't the same shot selectors of like a Mauricio Huffy. You know what I mean? I just see a straight punch landing right on Benoit's chin and him going down. Granted, Benoit's a durable guy. Maybe he toughs it out. But I think more often than not, Mauricio Huffy finds the shot and wins by TKO over a tough Benoit Saint Denis. And closing out the card with our main event, Nasruddin Imavov taking on Caio Borralho at middleweight. In my opinion, for the #1 contender spot. Really good fight, dude. I think this is a sick matchup. But ever since this fight was made, I've been leaning towards Imavov, and I think I'm going to continue to lean that way. I just think Imavov's way better on the feet. And Caio Borralho, I think he's got better cardio than Imavov, and I think he's got better grappling. But I don't know if that's enough because I think Imavov's much better on the feet than Borralho. I think he's much faster. I think he has much more power. I think his takedown defense, at least his first layer takedown defense, is pretty solid. His jiu-jitsu defense isn't bad. And I think the moments where you're like, ooh, fuck, or like, ah, fuck, that looked like it hurt, they're going to be coming from the side of Imavov. You know what I mean? I also didn't love Caio Borralho's last performance against Cannonier, not because he looked bad or anything. It's that he opted to just stand up, which I don't like. I don't like fighters who have a clear advantage or a better chance uh, with like a different skill set and they just opt to not use it. Like if you're a good grappler, like think of like Renya Nakamura versus Muin Gafurov. Like why not shoot a takedown? You're an elite grappler. Why just stand here and kickbox with a guy whose only way to beat you is kickbox? I don't like fighters who do that. Granted, Caio Borralho seems like a smart guy with a high fight IQ. He probably isn't going to do that against Imavov. He should shoot a takedown at least, because on the feet, I don't think he can hang. I think he needs to get the takedowns going in order to hang on the feet, kind of like a Brendan Allen was able to. But even still, Brendan Allen still lost. I just think Imavov is a guy who's in his prime. I think he's got a much better resume against a much higher level of comp than a Caio Borralho. Like if we look at their last 5 fights, we're talking about Adesanya, Brendan Allen, Cannonier, Delidze, Chris Curtis. And we look at Caio's, it's Jared Cannonier, good win. Paul Craig, like he beat Paul Craig on the feet. So did Bo Nickel, dude. I don't really care. Albus Magomedov, he's solid, but like this fight wasn't particularly impressive. Oleksiejczuk, Oleksiejczuk's looking solid now, but around this time he was looking like a schmuck on the mat. And then Makhmud Muradov, this fight was pretty close and competitive. I just see a distinct level of competition gap for Nasruddin Imavov. He's looked good against higher level of competition, and he's the younger guy too, man. He's a bigger guy as well. I think he's sharper on the feet, and I think that the moments of damage or the moments where a fight gets closer to being finished, I think they'll be on the side of Imavov, unless Caio Borralho gets a takedown, maybe gets to the back, because Borralho does have good jiu-jitsu skills. He's really good there, and I think he has a big advantage there. But his wrestling in itself isn't super great. Like it's okay. Like he can get a takedown, but he's one of these guys where that's disrespectful to say. He's got good wrestling, but a lot of guys with good jiu-jitsu lack the ability to get the fight to the mat more often than not. You know what I mean? A lot of really good jiu-jitsu players lack a good takedown. I don't think Caio Borralho is quite that, but like his pure wrestling isn't anywhere near as good as his jiu-jitsu, and that might bite him in the ass here. He beat Brendan Allen in a grappling match. Caio did, and he looked really good. But this isn't grappling, man. You're going to be in there with a guy who's not going to want to engage you with the grappling, who's going to want to be on the back foot, land good shots on the feet, hard shots. I could honestly see Imavov catching Caio Borralho with like an uppercut of some kind as he tries to close the distance. Maybe tries to get a clinch going. I could see Imavov being dangerous from there as well. I'm going to go with Nasruddin Imavov here, dude. I think this fight's probably going to go all 5 or maybe end in like 4 and 5, but I'm going to go with Imavov. I think he's going to do more damage in at least 3 of the 5 rounds. I'm going to say this is going to be like a Nasruddin Imavov 48-47. I think this is going to be a real competitive fight, though. Both guys are very evenly matched here. I'm stoked for this one, but I'm going to lean Imavov. Yeah, seems like a lot of people are pretty torn on this one as well. It's kind of what I expected. I'm going to go with Nasruddin Imavov decision here for the main event in UFC Paris. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. I appreciate it a ton. I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.